We are in Hamul, California, visiting with Jacquelynn Kresman at her home studio. How long have you been working on this particular piece?
The block-in of this painting probably took one day, and then not counting drawing time and thinking time and everything else, in hours I'd probably say 2 or 3 days worth of hours. Although technically I started the painting probably 6 weeks ago.
Is that a usual amount of time?
This particular painting, because it's has a lot of details and animals, is probably an average painting. I have some that take quite a bit longer, like my tide pools, and some that take a lot less time, where I'm just capturing a real simple wave breaking on a sandy shoreline. And this is kind of in the middle. Also because of its size, it's a small size.
Is this a painting of a place you have visited?
I would say my inspiration comes from real places. Going here and spending several weeks hiking and camping gives me a love of the place. And then after I get home, even years later, I'll paint paintings that are reminiscent of that area. So it's not a real place, but it's reminiscent of an experience I had.
Where did you get the inspiration to paint this piece?
Now this would be in Northern California, probably around the Merced area, just before you would go into Yosemite.
I see you use photography in creating your work. Is there a single photo that is the basis of this painting?
No, as I explained earlier, this isn't an actual place. Although I use reference to get texture, moss, anatomically correct animals, this actual arrangement of boulders and logs are done for compositional reasons. It's a composite of a lot of different photographs and my imagination.
This painting has a wolf in it. Do you also do wildlife photography?
Well, I haven't seen too many wolves out in the wild, so for something like that where it would be really hard to get close to, I go to the zoo, and you can get all kinds of great pictures of really wild animals, just so that you're technically correct.
Is there any one person who you believed helped you achieve the abilities you have today? An instructor or another artist, perhaps?
One of my favorite art instructors was a man named William DeShazo. He's a contemporary artist. He's still painting, and he's quite well known for his own work. Our work is not similar at all, and the reason I liked him as an instructor is what he taught me was basic skills of composition, how to do color mixing, how to keep a palette that is pleasing and harmonious. And he always let whoever was in his class follow, their own desires as far as what they wanted to paint. He could have an abstract artist and a realist in the same class, yet they would both learn the same lessons from him, because what he taught had to do with really basic art technique. So I really appreciated all the help he gave me.
What do admirers of your painting say they like most?
Okay, a lot of people at the shows, like I mentioned, I really enjoy going to the shows once in a while because I get to get feedback from people who are the ones buying my paintings, or at least admiring my work. And the one thing they like is that 3D quality. And there's really nothing special about it. There's no tricks or anything. This is a flat surface, and these are, everything's flat here, but the way you're able to pop things out is by putting in let's see, you know, the shadows in the right place to bring out the different objects. Like this just kind of pops out once you put in the shadow of all of these things here, and it gives it that 3D dimension that makes you think that something is sticking out of the surface area.
What one aspect of your paintings do people talk about most?
You know, people are always fascinated by the sand in my paintings. I have a great time doing it. I like textures, and when you're doing just a plain seascape with a wave breaking and a water washing up, the only real texture you can get going besides maybe the foam on water is the graininess of the sand, and it's such a contrast from the water and sky that I really like to emphasize that. So I was at the beach and I was looking at the way, you know, you can see through the water to that graininess. And so I did develop that technique of being able to get translucent water over sand. And people are really fascinated by that. I think it's really funny. I get people coming into galleries all the time, and in my studio when I had a public studio, who would always want to touch it. I would get people asking if I painted on sandpaper, which would be pretty difficult to do. And I got one lady who was actually an artist who read an article about me, who called me up and asked me, how did I do that sand? Because she tried several different ways of getting it on her canvas, including putting the paint in salt and pepper shakers. She was trying to shake on sprinkles of paint to get a sand technique. But actually all I do is a very traditional splatter technique. I had one woman, I got this story from a gallery owner, who came in and she said she would actually buy a particular painting if she could find out from the artist what type of glue I used to glue my sand on with. And of course the gallery director said that I didn't use glue. It was all traditional painting techniques. And she just insisted, didn't buy the painting because she thought we were trying to put one over on her, not letting anyone know what my secret was. So every once in a while I tell people, well, it's just Elmer's glue.